ahead. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Michelle Rockwood, and I am so excited to have with us today Kendra Tillman. And am I pronouncing your name right? Your last name right? Okay,
Yep.
good. All right, I got it. And you are a Kolbe expert. Is that correct?
I'm a Kolbe certified coach. Yes.
Kolbe certified coach. Awesome. So, we use Kolbe, we take the tests, we use it in sales, we use it at work. And I love this test. One, because it's so simple. And I think it's really effective. It helps, our whole goal with creating our businesses, with sales, all the things is really to work with the current and not against it. And to understand our strengths. And other things and not to see what we would normally call our weaknesses as weaknesses, but as things that someone else can compliment us on and round out. What I also really like about the Kolbe is I know that as a quick start, I can kind of aggravate the fact finders, right? And before Kolbe, I would be so frustrated with a fact finder. And I miss out on working with people who are who are different than me.
Yeah.
Instead of simply understanding how they work and how they need information presented to them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Kendra, we're in sales, right? I'm a sales coach, and I coach people through the enrollment conversation when they're selling their high price coaching programs. And so you're having this really intimate conversation with somebody, and you're starting to see by the questions that they ask, what score they are, right? You're starting to get an idea. Oh, you're a fact finder. Oh, you're a quick start. Oh, you're a systems person, right? You're starting to see those characteristic traits. And so I modify my offer based on what I'm seeing. If they're a high fact finder, I'm going to give a lot of details about what's included in my program and make sure that they have something written, right? I might even have some testimonials for them. For the quick start, they're going to get, and this is just my experience, so you tell me the quick start might get aggravated with all those details, right? And so they might just be like, okay, give me the price, tell me what it is, how do I do the thing? And so if those words were coming in that I knew they were a quick start, I would modify and change accordingly. And also in your hiring, and I'm sure you'll talk about that. When you hire somebody, it's really nice to understand, if you're hiring a VA, that, what kind of a score you'd want, or, hiring somebody to run your business, that sort of a thing. So sorry, that's a lot of talking on my part, but I hope that gives you kind of a little bit better idea of
absolutely.
How I'm using this day to day. Yeah. So I'd love,
can I ask you a really quick question? So that is how you are using it. And the women that are a part of your program so I know all of them have already taken it, and you shared some of their results with me, which was helpful. And then the people that they're going to be interacting with, that they're going to be having these sales conversations with, they don't know what those people's
no
MO is, right?
Nope.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of sussing out on the calls. And it has been a really powerful tool to know for ourselves, to simply, even with your spouse, how does he receive information, right? I'm going to present this opportunity in a different way based on how that person operates.
Okay.
And that really helps us. Yeah. So what are the 4 categories for stuff? I always remember fact finder and go ahead.
Yeah, so there are basically 4 modes of how people take action. So let's back up just a little bit. I wanted to back up just a little bit because I want to put everything in context, so that when we start actually talking about what the different modes are and what your MO is and all those different things, people can actually, locate themselves and where they are in this process. So the thing about the Kolbe is what we are all used to, who does not love a good assessment, right? I am I'm a women's empowerment coach and a leadership consultant. And with my clients, one of the things that everybody loves is taking those assessments to gain that self-awareness, right? And so all of us are probably familiar with, of course, there is the cognitive test that we've all taken, like when we were in high school, when we had to take the SATs. I have a graduating senior this year, so he's preparing right now for SATs. So we have like those tests that measure different skills and the thinking part of our brains, right? And then there are the people that, there are the tests that also measure the affective part, and that is like our feeling, like how we feel. So like that's the Strengths Finder, the DISC, Myers-Briggs, all those that kind of measure your personality. But with Kolbe, what Kolbe measures is the doing, like how you need to take action. So when you are in a mode of striving, so this is not when you're relaxing, this is when you are putting forth effort, then the Kolbe helps you measure how you take action, how you need to take action. So it's like this, it's this strength that you have that is very intuitive, and it's not something that you like learned, it wasn't taught to you, it's just naturally how you go about solving problems, right? And so when you take this test, what this does, what it measures for you is when you go about the process of solving problems, this is how you're going to solve them. And there's these 12 different strengths. And I know when you look at the picture, right, I think I have my behind me, right? So when you look at your picture, right, you don't even realize that there's actually 12 strengths on here because you only see the 4 bars, right? So, but there's actually 12 different strengths. So in each one of them, so let's start with what you were pointing out before. You talked about the fact finder, right? So the fact finder strength is all about gathering information. And for people that are long, we call it long in fact finder. So there's like these 2 different spectrums on this mode. So there is at the top up here, this is counteracting. And at the bottom, this is initiating. And that's true for every single one of these. And we all have strengths in every single one of these areas, but it's about how we are operating in those strengths is what we're actually talking about. Okay. So for me, so let's like use me for an example. Like I know it's kind of a glare a little bit, right? So I am an initiating fact finder. That means when I'm problem solving, my first action is going to be gathering information. Someone who is initiating in follow through, their first action is going to be about systematizing things, like putting things in order, figuring out how they want to move through the process. A person who is an initiating quick start, like you, is someone who is going to start with innovation. Like you're going to start by innovating with your ideas and looking for, coming up with all kinds of brilliant ideas and just putting them out there, right? And seeing what eventually is going to stick. And then over here we have this 4th mode, which is implementer. And people that initiate here, they're going to physically demonstrate whatever it is when they're problem solving. So they might be the person who maybe takes out a puzzle to figure out, like they're going to do something physical and tangible that they can put their hands on when they're initiating. And so
can I ask you a question? Sorry, Pinky's question. Is implementer, would that be like a spreadsheet? Somebody, so like my husband is like, okay, spreadsheet time. I'm like,
yes. If that's the first, that's the first step that he takes when he is trying to solve problems, then yes, like he might pull out a spreadsheet and say, okay, let's get all these numbers in here. Maybe, and I don't know if you guys know about Dave Ramsey, like he talks about the like the nerd and the free spirit. So you might have a nerd husband.
Totally, yeah. Oh, that's for sure. But that actually really helps me already because, and sorry to interrupt, because he has to do that, right? And I try to change it, but he has to do it before we can make the decision or make any movement at all. We're getting a dog. He has a spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, how will it feel to have the dog? Like, let's, call 20 people and see what, so that quick start, like the ideas and the feeling and the innovation, and yeah, I have to do that first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, and I'm glad I
spreadsheet.
want you to stop me and interject at any point,
Okay.
because I do want this to be a conversation, because it will bring more meaning to it. And one of the things that I want to emphasize is that when you think about Kolbe and you think about how you solve problems instinctively, don't think about like how you feel, because our feelings change from day to day, right? That's more of a
Okay.
personality thing. I want you to think about, you need to approach it this way. This is just, when you sit down to work on a problem, this is going to be your first step, whether you feel like it or not. So for me, like, I can think of examples in my life. I can think specifically how, when I even let's use you guys for an example. You reached out to me and you said, hey, would you come on and talk about Kolbe and, kind of give us this perspective? What do you think, as an initiating fact finder, my first step was?
Oh yeah, you had a lot of questions.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I was like, let's just get on the call and I'll fill you in. And you were like, no, you need to answer my questions, right? And I wrote that, and so I recognized that too, and I responded in like red letters, right? Like I filled in all the questions.
You
Interesting.
gave
Okay.
me what I needed, because you wouldn't need that, right? But I needed it, because for me, I want to show up for you in a way that feels most authentic to me. And that is a big part, and one of the gifts that you are giving to having the women that are working with you, have them take this, is this is about when you are free to be yourself, when you are being authentically who you are going to be at your best. You're going to be at the absolute best. So them learning this information is going to help them show up authentically, even when they are preparing for those sales conversations, which will, I know we'll get back to that in just a second. But again, like I said, I just wanted to kind of paint the picture and the context for you guys of exactly what the Kolbe is and what it measures. And just so that you have that when you look at that report, because I know that report is really long. I remember the first time I got my Kolbe report and I loved it. I thought it was awesome, but I really just did not know what to do with it. And I really didn't fully understand the context of it until I was able to sit down and do like an interpretation of what my results were. So I don't know, like, if you don't mind, Michelle, I would like to talk a little bit about your results. Again,
I would love that. Okay, like you said, we live to be assessed. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So could you give me the ability to share my screen? Because I actually have your report in front of me.
Oh, sure. Let's see. How do you think I do that?
Go put your mouse over my face and then hit those three dots and you can make me the host.
Thank you. I was working with the dots over my face.
It's okay. No problem. Okay. So the women that are a part of your membership, they've already taken this. So you all already have a report just like this. And so one of the things, when you first open up your results, you get your results back. And thank you, Michelle, for being willing to let us use you as the example.
No problem.
Is the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see a paragraph. And I would love for you to read that out loud. Can you read it, or is it too small?
You're terrific. When juggling rapidly changing priorities, you are known for taking risks that are grounded in practical realities. You don't mess around with what has always been done, but temper your trial and error approach by strategizing options.
Okay, so tell me, what do you think about that? When you first read that for the first time, what did you think?
Well, one, I love that I'm terrific. And like that's what I love about this too, is like there's no wrong, right? No. Like no matter what, it's just trying to, and I love what you said, that when you're authentically who you are at your best. Mm-hmm. So that's what I love so much about this. But then you said, so this says you love juggling rapid changing priorities. I love juggling rapid changing priorities in my work, right? Like it's like whiplash, you know, price change, offer change, like it's whiplash. And it's so, I love it. Like I love that. And I almost like artificially manufacture it. I notice, which can, I think, be a little bit, thankfully I found an outlet through work to manufacture that versus like my relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like, yeah, I just like throw things in there to like mess things up. And so yay. Okay. Sorry.
No. Love it. Love it. And this is a gift that you are giving to the women that you work with, your quick start. So especially if there was a woman on your team who feels like, you know, her strength is not necessarily being able to brainstorm ideas and being quick on her feet and just envisioning all these different things. So this is a gift. Your gift is a gift to other people as well. So the next page we're not going to go through this whole thing, so don't worry. Okay. We don't have time. So this is the next page that I wanted to point out specifically is exactly what I was just talking about. I sometimes forget that I'm on a computer, so I have to use my mouse, not my finger. But for each mode, we already talked through what each of these modes are. So for each mode, again, there is a point where you are either counteracting, reacting, or initiating action. And so for you, Michelle, when we look at your longest line in terms of where you are the modes on here, then you are in the zone of where you innovate. Like that's how you start the problem solving process. The next mode is you go into the fact finder, where you explain in that mode, and I'll talk a little bit about what each of those mean in just a second. Then you follow through, and then implementer. So that's kind of like the order that you would move in. And so again, fact finder is just about how you gather and share information. Follow through is how you organize. Quick start is how you deal with risk and uncertainty, and implementer is how you handle space and tangibles. Again, as you can see, everybody has all four of these. It is a matter of where you are on this continuum, right? So it's not that sometimes we think of things as less than or better than, especially just because of the way we've been taught for so long. All of these are strengths for every single one of us. Okay, so I won't go into this, but the conables is how they personalize what your MO is, or your method of operation is what they call it. But the page that I want us to get to is down here. I wanted to take you to where we talk about energy, because that's going to be really important for your clients. I think it's page 14. Maybe I passed it. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. So this is really important. So when you're thinking about your strengths as it relates to Kolbe, thinking about your mental energy, right? So as you start the problem solving process, you specifically, Michelle, you spend a lot of time coming up with ideas. The good news for you is that you naturally edit out the really goofy ones. You leap toward a goal with uncertain complications, but your fact finder strength quickly ascertains whether you can live with the results and make sure you're not wasting time on low priority tasks. Your cognitive strengths kick in to polish off the process. And like this sentence right below that talks about the fact that you start by innovating and then you end with envisioning whatever the solution is. Do you have any thoughts about this particular insight?
Well, I'm really good at the top of the puzzle, right? I'm really good at picturing, like selling something even before I create it. And I am like, even like right now, I'm painfully stuck in the nitty gritty details and getting a thing done.
Yeah.
I know this about me.
Okay.
And it seems to be like reflective here too, right? Like, what do I do about that middle stuff? What do I do about those ones? You know, my first thing is like hire out what you can, right? Sometimes you just have to do the thing, right?
Right.
And is there
Yes.
any way to make, whether it's quick starting,
Mhm.
fact finding, if you're not a fact finder, more enjoyable?
Yeah, that is a really really good question, and it's a good question to ask here, because this is about mental energy. So what I hear you saying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, what I hear you saying is when you get to the point where you have to give the mental energy to the nitty gritty, that's where you feel yourself starting to,
Yes.
the energy level coming down, right? And so that's why it's going to be important for you when you were, what was your follow through?
Low.
It was 3.
Yeah.
So don't say low. It wasn't
Sorry.
low. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
low.
Really?
It's counteracting. So it makes sense that you would feel drained, because you in that, and when you are in that zone, when you are using energy in that zone, one of the things is you need to create some shortcuts and become a little bit more flexible. So maybe you are trying to approach certain things in that zone, like whatever that work is, maybe you're trying
Mm,
to approach it in a way that requires you to get into a lot of detail and come up with like a long system or a plan for it. And maybe you need to come up with a shortcut way of just getting it done so that you can get that energy back. So like, give me a specific example of something that you're talking about so we can kind of talk about it.
I'm creating right now a sales program.
Okay.
Um, I, I love coaching on enrollment. It lights me up. Being with the client face to face is just absolutely amazing. And I love creating as I go. Like it's really super fun. So now I'm forced to kind of create a little bit before as I go. Although what I did, and maybe you can tell me what you think about this, is I I forced myself to have a deadline. I gave myself like arbitrary, not arbitrary deadlines, like real deadlines. I told people I would get them the thing by this date and
Mm-hmm.
got them excited about receiving it. Right. So I
Mm-hmm.
like have to
Mm-hmm.
do the thing in a short period of time. I kind of put up like, I feel like bumpers in an alley, right in the
Mm-hmm.
bowling alley for myself. Yeah. Do you think, is that based on my, is that right? Like, is that,
So when you set up this program, the part that is slowing you down is, what's slowing you down? Is it
the
is it the creating
physically
the content?
actually creating something when there isn't an imminent demand, right? Like when it's not due the next day. Like if I need to, I mean, and that was the same in school, right? I'd like study, 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 study. And then the night before, like I'd get it done, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of the same thing that I'm doing here, but that is hurting me a little bit and causing me some stress. And I really don't want to, I'd love to create something and then have more ease, grace, and time
Okay.
to perfect it.
Why, what are you telling yourself that you have to do in order to get this done? Because it
I'm
sounds like
telling,
you have
I'm
to.
telling myself, I'm telling myself that I have to have like real people to deliver it to,
Mm-hmm.
which I've created, right? So I'm giving myself like like the generator, right? Like I'm like, um, yeah, I'm telling myself I can't get it done without, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a little stuck.
Okay, let's go back to your quick start. When you were brainstorming your ideas around this program, what were you thinking about? Like, when did you have like a specific date that you wanted to have it completed by?
Yep. I need a specific date, but it's far out into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm struggling with is like, I actually want to complete it by like midway through next month, but
Okay.
it doesn't technically have to be done,
Mm-hmm.
for probably a month after that. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
like, instead of doing what I always have done since college and waiting until right a week before and finishing it all and doing the things,
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it now so I can make it great. So I can go back and yeah, like shine it up, do all the things, and make it perfect.
Okay, you just made me, I'm not going to scroll back up in your report, but you actually are best under pressure.
Yes. Yes. I mean, like, yeah, literally, like the ideas start flowing when
Yes.
there's pressure. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So why are you trying to go against that?
That's really great. So you're saying, yeah, you're saying you're gonna.
Why are you trying to go against the fact that you work best under pressure?
Well, I guess, isn't that a negative? Isn't it a negative to work under, you know what I mean? Like I'm arbitrarily creating stress. And you're saying, well, so what?
So when you say when you're saying you're arbitrarily creating stress, you're not creating stress, like the energy that you're going to put out in creating this program. You want to start with where you flow the best, and you flow best under pressure. Now, does under pressure mean that you wake up the day before the program launches to get this out here, right? No.
We'll
Right?
give it at least a week. At least a week.
Right. But it just means like you're still writing out ideas. You have the fact finder strength that's coming right behind, so that will balance like the
Okay.
fact that you're not going to like give people garbage. You are going to actually do the research, put in the time, review the data, figure out what the
Oh yeah.
priorities are. You're going to do all those
Mm-hmm.
things, right? But that doesn't
Mm.
mean that you have to create this program a month out from when you actually need it.
That
Like,
that actually really kind of pings me because that's what I'm doing is fact finding right now.
yeah,
Right? I'm
yeah,
putting all the pieces and like scratching that itch and making sure, right, it serves the right person and it says the right thing at the right time. That's so true actually. So that is actually action, and I'm saying just
yes,
because I'm not like, yeah, 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 yeah. No, I like that. And I really like, this is how you work, right? And that's what this is all about. Is like, this
yes.
is who
That's
you
what
are, friend.
this
Yeah.
is how you really work. And you, for your follow through, you have that maintain strength. And so you're going to adjust the schedule and the program based off of like this process that you're going through right now. The good thing is that you are giving yourself a deadline, because that deadline will help you go ahead and, okay, we need to wrap this up. I'm going to get this done. But how you get there doesn't have to look like what it looks like for other people, and just embracing that is a strength for you. Because for me, I would be like sweating bullets. I would be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is this an okay time to ask about a specific, tell me if
Yes,
you want me to, okay.
absolutely, absolutely. I feel like we've talked enough, you and I. So I hopefully the conversation, even just the conversation we just had, was helped put all of this into context, and it really helps
Absolutely.
give a different perspective. So now, absolutely, let's
Okay.
talk about whatever else is important for you.
So, okay, I kind of, te- here's I have a couple clients
Mm-hmm.
that are really high quick starts, like
Okay.
nines, right? Really, really high. And I find in my limited experience, right,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes quick starts can scare people. And especially in the enrollment conversation, we're like, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. And we get frustrated and aggravated with people who want all the details. Is
Mm-hmm.
is this even accurate? Is that, from what you see of quick starts?
Okay.
And yeah, do you have any tips if you if you agree or don't agree for that person to help them realize how other people are viewing them? So we want to understand other people, but we wanted to see how they are seeing us.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Yeah.
what?
So this is what I will say in response to that. Um, Anytime you initiate in one of these modes and someone else counteracts, there is potential for tension, right? So you and I, we counteract in quick start. So you don't know my results. Well, I guess you do now, but I'm actually a 2 in quick start. And so I counteract you. And so anytime we counteract, it is possible for there to be tension between us. Now, in terms of how we respond, that's actually more of a personality, and just how we, you know, respect each other's differences. And so again, one of the things that hopefully Kolbe, your assessment does is make you more conscious of respecting differences and not looking down on people or thinking, well, man, they should just get it. Why don't they, understand, I've given them all I know to tell them. And just if you can understand why, the initiating fact finder like myself is going to ask you multiple questions, maybe it'll make it less frustrating for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So just simply like putting aside whatever action you're going to take,
Yeah.
and just that ability to know it's there. And
Yes.
that's like such a coaching thing, right? Like you just recognize and you naturally react differently.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Okay. So there's the fact finder, so now I recognize a quick start. I recognize a fact finder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thanks to the spreadsheet reference, right? I recognize an implementer.
Mm-hmm.
How can I recognize a follow through? And that's a systems person. And any tips on identifying and relating this type of person?
Yeah. So I would say, someone who initiates and follow through is going to be someone who is driven by designing plans and systems, they're going to approach problem solving in a very systematic way. And that is going to be their first approach. And it's going to be difficult to get them to move away from whatever they're working on until they've gone through the entire system or whatever the plan is. So maybe there is a coaching client that you've had who, if you tell them to do A, B, C, D, E, they are going to do A, B, C, D, E
Yes.
when they approach the sales process, right?
Yes.
If you told me that the first step is this, and the second step is this, and the third step is that, I'm going to move through that system, and then I'm not going to stop until I go all the way. And then, so they're very systematic in their approach to problem solving.
Okay.
I don't know if you can picture someone like that.
Yeah, I can. And actually, I think I really like these clients because sometimes I was like explaining to my husband, I was like, sometimes people just, I say the thing and they're like, boop, 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 right? Like they like create a roadmap for themselves and like they implement it in their calls, and I can hear it the next time. And I'm like, oh, hot damn. Like they just did the thing and then they see results right away. Right.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we're creating that system. Like I picture like a flow chart.
Yeah.
I picture
and you probably appreciate that because you are actually in that maintain mode of follow through, which means you can really be like a go-between for the people that are counteracting and the people that are initiating in that zone. So yeah.
I'm trying to think of like how in the sales process I would approach somebody who I could start to see signs of being a follow through, being a systems and order person. And I think, and this is my initial thought, tell me what you think, is I would say this happens first in our program. Then we feel this and this happens next.
Yeah.
Right. Now you get support here and this fourth thing happens and then X and
So are you talking about when you're selling something to someone else?
Yes.
So this is the thing I will say. I would use Kolbe to recognize when you, like how you solve problems or how people on your team solve problems, like they're putting effort. A person who's a potential client is not necessarily exerting effort. So like the Kolbe, what Kolbe is measuring is like when you are striving, when you are working towards a goal, what, how do you approach the creative problem solving process? And so a client, someone who's listening to you
Mm.
give a sales presentation, is not in that mode of striving.
How you're striving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So this is what I would say. So how I would change what you just said was, you know, your strengths is a quick start, is the fact that during, you're going to look at a lot of different options for them, possibly, right? You're going to change your sales presentation on the spot, because you can do that. Like you, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would be, it would be hard for me to do that. Like even now I have notes, because as a fact finder, any information that I'm going to share with you, I want it to be accurate. Like accuracy is really important to me.
Yeah.
And so, but as an initiating quick start, you can, like, you have a strength to just right on the spot, you can just change it up on people. Like if a person was like, their issue was this and you thought it was this, you'll change that presentation right on the spot to
Absolutely.
make it
Yeah.
flow what they need. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah. So my curiosity too is,
Yeah.
how did you get so into this? Like why, right? Like you did a training on it, you're a coach on it. Like
Yeah.
how I love it. I've dabbled into it. I think at first actually, and I wonder if this is true.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I could have
Yeah.
told you this,
Yeah.
but I think it really helped me like love myself more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, these things that other people would like poo-poo about me, and namely my spouse. And, I'd be like, oh no, actually like that, I've since found out like this is a real strength, this ability to dive right in,
Yeah.
and he's like, so yeah, why your love? And yeah, tell me a little bit more about that.
So the way I actually, Kolbe came into my life was because one of my dearest friends is actually, she is the director of training and development at Kolbe.
No way.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes, and she and I have known her since she was a teenager. I host women's empowerment events. She's been a speaker multiple times at my events. And when she got the job at Kolbe, her experience or her expertise is around strengths development. And she said, she was like, Kendra, you have to take this, because she was like, this was the missing piece for me. So she knew, I think she's certified in Strengths Finder, if I'm not mistaken. And so she's worked at, billion-dollar corporations. And for her, this was the missing piece, the doing part for, that people have. So we know about the thinking, we know about the
Yeah.
feeling, but the
Okay.
doing, the motivation behind that, like what is the instinctual drive behind how we take action. And so that's how I first learned about it. And just like her taking me through an interpretation,
Yeah.
that helped a lot. And it just made so much sense. I mean, like you said, everything just started like clicking together. And that is how, that's the short version of how I got involved with Kolbe.
Love it. I think what like stuck with me there was this is about the doing.
Yes.
And so maybe that's why what resonates with me so much is because we're working with small business owners.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And so it's all about the doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, how do we work? How do we do it? How do we do the do? And so that's awesome. I love it. I love it. And do you, so this is great for the individual, right? To know yourself. This is great to know when you hire people.
Yes.
As a team, we're throwing out, oh, your fact finder, oh, my quick start. It's just such a great way to kind of communicate and say,
yes.
Instead of like, before you just be like, oh, I'll give you more info, but it's really like it gives us jargon, like within our team,
yes, absolutely,
to communicate and ask for what we need.
And to give people what they need in a way that shows you respect their difference from how you need it.
Yes. That's so, I respect. Yeah. I see you. I
Mm-hmm.
see you. I
Yeah.
understand you. I
Yeah.
respect you. I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, I love that.
And I know
Cool.
I want to bring this up before I don't know if I just want to make sure we don't forget. One of the things you pointed out to me was that there was a couple of people
Oh,
who
yes. Thank
were
you.
in transition, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me tell you what transition is absolutely normal. Every human being is in transition at some point of their life. That's where something is changing. Maybe
Mm.
you're being pulled in multiple different directions and you're not free to be yourself. Like in whatever that case is where
Mm.
you are working and striving, you're not really free to be yourself. Maybe you're really stressed out because, the need that you have right now and the need that you have of to be at your best, they just don't sync up. So it's absolutely perfectly nothing to be
Okay.
concerned or worried about. Every person is in transition. That you just happen to take your test while you just happen to take the Kolbe in that moment. So if
Okay.
there was another moment in my life where I was in transition, I would get a similar result. So one of the things to look at is on your report, there should be an asterisk under the particular mode, one of those modes, the fact finder, all the ones. Then wherever you see the asterisk at, that is where there was some type of like you were like counteracting and initiating at the same time in that
Okay.
mode. And so kind of looking at which one of those is why your test results showed the way that it did.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In body mind coaching, we
Mhm.
always celebrate
Yeah.
the transition and the struggle and the confusion, because it's like we're like a slingshot being pulled back before we spring
Mhm.
forward.
Mhm.
So it's almost like those gals in transition are about to, and I actually know both the ones we're referring to, they're about to break through into the other side, right? Like they're
Mhm.
about to bust through,
Mhm.
and they're in
Mhm.
that like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
Yeah, so see that makes
Mhm.
perfect sense. And I would encourage you, everybody, with your report. One of the things when you log into the platform where you can actually view it, there is also like this audio to listen to the audio. It's
Okay.
very powerful. It's by Kathy Kolbe is the creator of this. She actually lives here in Phoenix, where I
Oh,
live.
cool.
And she really explains everything. She really breaks it down, and specifically in our training, they were saying the transition explanation that she gives is really powerful. So I just really
Mm,
want to encourage you from the creator. This is the creator of this
okay.
assessment. She is the one who is explaining that to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And now, do you work with one-on-one clients? Do you work with groups? Do you come into corporations? How do you typically work with clients?
Absolutely. So I work with a lot of one-on-one people. And for specifically what I was thinking, like for your group particularly, I created a actual plan, a program. It's a one-time thing. You could set up a session with me. I'm calling it the Activate the A session.
Cool.
So that's really
Cool.
just about kind of exactly what you and I did, Michelle, today, where I would go into the interpretation with you, and help you, dig a little deeper into it. And then, as you know, that will be the first half of our conversation. The second half of the conversation is what is an actual problem you're dealing with right now in your business? And then how
Mm.
could you utilize your strengths to start solving that problem? So, yeah,
I
yeah,
love that. Very
yes,
cool.
yeah.
And how do people reach you?
So you can reach me, well, just my email. I would just say through my email. And I also, um, yeah, I would just say my email is the best way. So it's Kendra@strongher.me. Kendra@strongher.me. Yeah, my website is being rebranded. So, I mean, you can go there and look. You can listen to my podcast. I have a
Oh,
podcast that I'm up to 78 episodes now. And one
cool.
of the,
Congratulations.
yeah,
That's huge.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Kendra, Kendra at strong, STRONG, her
Yep, .me.
.me.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Well, I cannot thank you enough. Like you know, my quick start's going crazy as to all the things we could do together. And I'll be sure in the future to answer all of your questions and make it totally fact finder friendly.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. We appreciate that.
This has been so much fun. And I know all of our clients will get so much from this. So I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you
the time
for
today.
inviting me. I'm extremely honored.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we're friends on Facebook, so let's become friends so I can post a link to you and invite people to find you. And what was the session called again that they can book with you, just so they remember?
It's called Activate the A, which is
Activate the A.
Yeah, that's what this assessment,
Kolbe-A.
Kolbe-A. That's the Kolbe-A. So, and Michelle, I can share with you a link. I set up a Calendly link where they can actually start scheduling that whenever they're ready.
Yes, perfect. Share that with me and then I can post it on
Okay.
Facebook too today. So yeah, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
And you know what, Kendra, I think you need to stop the recording because you are now host.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.